welcome to another Wind in the Willows video review. This week, Fire at Toad Hall. This is a great one. This was directed by Barry Purvis, and it's good. It's got a lot of good moments in it. Pretty good script, some nice ideas, and some really good effects with this fire. So yeah, let's get cracking with this one. Press play right now. Okay, so Fire at Toad Hall from series 3. On a personal level, I didn't see this until it was repeated on Channel 5. So I remember it from like the late 90s, and it was released originally on I think the Further Adventures of Toad video. So there were 2 releases of that. Check here. So both of them had the Fire at Toad Hall on them, but yeah, for some reason there were 2 releases with they replaced one of the episodes, which I think was the middle one. So Patient Toad on this one. I'll just show you the other one. That one, yeah. So it's the same video release but different images. So for some reason Patient Toad was replaced with the Storm on the other release. But yeah, Fire at Toad Hall was on both of them. And like I say, directed by Barry Purvis. This one, I like that we talk about the harvest, and as I've said in previous episodes, those ones were focused very much on harvesting and what that means. This one, it feels natural to have this one now because the harvest is done, so fruits are gathered in, and you just get the sense that winter is on its way. Obviously it is autumn, and straight away the look of it is beautiful. You've got these lovely autumnal colours, kind of oranges and browns, and even in these opening shots. But of course, as there's talk of bonfires, and Ratty and Mole realise there's an actual fire at Toad Hall. Barry, if you're watching, I'd love to know how these fire effects were done. I assume it was maybe effects with glass, so using animated effects on glass that you can actually see that it's on a cycle. So the actual animation of the fire, it looks random enough, but if you study it closely you can see that it's a lot of the flames are on a cycle, so repeated in the imagery. And then the smoke of course would have been on glass as well, actually on set. Of course, as we know, days before computers, so but I think it looks wonderful. It's very authentic. I've never seen Mole move so quickly. He turns around there and dashes for more water. I must admit, when I first saw this shot, I thought, oh my god, Toad Hall is totally ruined. I mean, it's just completely blackened by the fire. And what always struck me is Ratty and Mole don't seem that concerned. They seem worn out with it, but they're not in a huge panic when they finally put the fire out. And Toad isn't either, and it always struck me as a bit odd that it's just, his house looks completely ruined. There's this nice, Toad had a nice entrance there with his jolly music, the hero's song playing in the background, and you see him in his night clothes. But a bit of an over-animated head cap there. Obviously it would have had a wire in it, and when you're animating you've got to think about what creates movement. It's a bit more natural there, but obviously when a head is shaking the cap is going to follow, and you're animating what we call follow through, one of the principles of animation. But if you overdo it, it suddenly looks like it's got a life of its own. Again, don't want to criticise the animators, they were working blind after all. I like this. And just then, when Badger arrived, Toad had this wonderful expression of, oh gosh, this means trouble, or he's in trouble, turning around trying to creep away, avoiding any confrontation with Badger. And this comes up in a few episodes where Ratty and Mole are basically hinting at the fact that, well, not hinting, making it very bluntly saying they're doing all the work and Toad's trying to take all the credit. And then he obviously becomes very dramatic here, saying, "Oh, well, I don't need all that recognition." Fine, obviously he does, but he's just now feeling sorry for himself and trying to get the others on his side.
I see that you've been your usual self again. Your usual foolish, empty, vainglorious, cowardly self again.
Interesting look, this episode, because obviously Toad always blacker than it ever is, you know, with all the damage. And as a result, the characters actually stand out more. You know, you've got this kind of almost look very lit up because of that, you know, because the light isn't quite hitting the set that much. Could be a bit brighter, you know, look at it and you think, oh, it'd be nice if we had a bit more definition there. Now, the fact that Toad has set up a tent in Toad is really funny here. In fact, he mumbles it. And unlike other episodes, Ratty actually hears Toad for the first time. Even though he mumbles, Ratty realises camping? Did you say camping? But in other episodes, of course, they never hear him, and he has to repeat it. And when he does, it's overemphasised. A little bit of a difference there. Now the music playing in the background, interestingly, is again a track that I have that's exclusive. It's not released, but it's actually called Nickelodeon, and this is actually a different version of it. But there's other episodes that have a slightly, I guess you call it a strummier version. It's like I don't know what instruments would have been used, but it's a bit more definition in it. This one's a more gentler version of the theme. Witless stove for witless stove. And again, though, Badger doesn't seem that concerned that Toad Hall's been so damaged by the fire. I guess it kind of suggests that, you know, the most important thing is that everyone's safe, there's nobody hurt, and that's I guess the kind of message that's coming through. But you'd think Badger at least would have been very concerned about his old friend, as in Toad's father's home. And interesting with this kind of episode, it was, I don't know for certain, but maybe it was shot towards the end of series 3 or at the end, because you're effectively trashing the set. Well, I don't know what would have been used. I mean, it's a bit like when you do a winter episode and you've got all the snow and you kind of, to scrape all that off again is an absolute nightmare. So as I've said before, traditionally you leave winter and snowy episodes to the end of the run of a series. I don't know about this. Again, Barry, if you're watching, I'd love to know about how the set was dressed, or Terry Brown, or anyone who's watching, you know, how it was actually blackened without actually being ruined, effectively. What would be the material that was used? Be really interesting. And look at Toad's gown there as well. Very great attention to detail there. You could say they've ruined a costume, but I think that was specially made to be ripped and stained like that. Beautifully done. Now, Barry's team, of course, in Series 3 was, animator-wise, was Andrew Lord and Monica McCartney. And again, very fine animators, but occasionally things can be a little bit over-animated in places, or a little bit busy, you know, a little bit kind of... you know, when you look at Toad, for instance, we're smoothly going from pose to pose, whereas if you look at other animators like Barry and Paul Berry, it'll be a bit more pose to pose, and the poses will be stronger, and there's the confidence to hold those poses more. It's just different styles, you know. I'm not saying one's better than the other. It's just the different way it is. A little bit like when I worked on various things like Shaun the Sheep, you know, everyone had their certain way of animating on Shaun the Sheep. There was one animator that would drift the animation quite a bit, so they had kind of a floaty feel, but it never looked dead. You know, he did it very well. And as I've said before, computer animation can look dead for that reason. There's too much floatiness and the computer's doing too much. My style's a bit more snappy, pose to pose, trying to hit the poses, keeping something alive and going on, but having the confidence to hold a pose. Which, to be honest, I picked up from a lot of the episodes that Barry worked on and Paul Berry worked on. So this is where we've got a very unusual setup where Toad's actually staying with Mole, and Mole, being the kindly creature that he is, shows some pity on Toad. And again, this has cropped up in many episodes, and it fully realises Mole's character. Very, very kindly, very, hospitable. Ratty and Badger wouldn't do this because they know that it was Toad's fault in the first place. He's been very selfish, but Toad basically talked Mole into staying there. And this, of course, is Mole's bedroom that we don't see often at all. And when you've got a character in a bed, you've got to anchor it very properly. Normally, of course, when they're stood up, you've got the magnets or tie-downs to secure them to the set. But when they're in the bed, you need to use a different device. Sometimes it's wire or fishing wire or something like that, or alley wire that you wrap around the puppet and fasten through the bed and into the set. Other times you might be able to tilt the feet so that you've got magnets strong enough to hold through the bed as well. You just got to avoid the rocking, which totally pretty secure there. Now I love these shots because you see all these beautiful tops, all these wonderful. It's very far-fetched. I don't think even Toad would go this far. Obviously he has, but I think it's just a bit crazy. And it's kind of the nasty side of Toad, isn't it? He's totally selfish here. He's not thinking of Mole. He's totally thinking about himself. He just assumes Mole will just kind of give in to him all the time. But Mole's showing some authority here. I like it. I like seeing this, that he's kind of talking to himself. And he needs to have a word with Mole. He's obviously very, very annoyed, as he should be. There's a suit of armour there. And
I'm here, Toad!
Oh, there you are! I say it's a bit of a shambles, Moley, if you don't mind me saying so.
Yes, I do mind.
I mean, what a thing for Toad to say. A bit of a shambles, if you don't mind me saying so. And I love Mole's comeback there with just I do mind. And look at what he does here. I mean, that lovely picture that we see so often of Mole's, and he replaces it. I say though, the way he positioned it seemed a bit to the left there. I do like Toad's comeback there to Mole. Won't do, Toad, it's just what I said. Totally not on the same wavelength. But the thing about Toad is, he's not meaning to be nasty. He's just not thinking. And that's the key to his character. He's deep down, he's kindly, of course, but he's selfish. He's not meaning to be selfish. He's just not seeing things correctly. So he's certainly not evil or anything like that. He's just conceited and rude, but of course he thinks the world of his friends, and we see that proved in so many episodes and so many wonderful moments. Just not in this one. This one, out of many of them, he is purely selfish all the way through and idiotic. I mean, this is the ultimate. This is ridiculous. I mean, as if he hasn't got enough already in Mole at no end. I can't talk today at all. Mole end. I like how he's posing there. Just like the bust. Now that statue, I don't know if you can't see the picture, it's just off screen, but there's when I met Mark Hall for the first time back in 1999, I went into his office and he had that exact statue, I'm looking at it now, behind him on a desk, and meeting him then, and being able to hold that, was just wonderful. It's a nice heavy item. Happy memories. It's wonderful. Little did I know that I'd end up working there and doing all these videos now, and hopefully writing a book and all that. as they say, rest is history. I like the way this set is set up. It's very well composed there, very well. I love it. You can see Mole End, the burrows out there. It's a setup we don't see often. It's interesting. We've got the fence there, and we see that so many times exterior to Mole End, and then we of course now know that Mole's house is underground, kind of in front of that. So it gives us a bit of an idea of the geography. It's really interesting. And something that we don't see in the other episodes. We see him going through Mole's roof. Of course, in The Ghost of Mole End, he rescues a hedgehog from up there, but the hedgehog isn't. We never see outdoors, basically. Poor Mole. It's just... Toad's expression there, everything's going wrong. But he manages to get it in there, but terrible mess, look at that.
You are half-wits. What? You didn't fall. We did, Mr. Toad. We
Now again, this is what I'm talking about with the animation, how there. So that slow movement there, it's just got a very different style to some of those other episodes with different animators.
It's broken. My bust.
So this is the other.
And my escritoire.
This is Toad, and again another side of Toad where again he's not listening to Mole. He's over dramatic. He's completely exaggerating, saying it's too much for him.
It's all too much for my sensitive nature. I say, will you see those young chaps get a penny each?
At least he's remembering that the youngsters will get a penny each, even though he can hit Toad's eyes, they completely ruin things. And then Mole has to deal with the money. And
Where is this note?
What note's that, Mo?
and then we're almost at the end now, where we've got a lovely cosy scene with Ratty, Mole and Badger. We've got music playing in the background, Rocking Chair, the title of the music is. And the music helps actually. You feel for Mole here even more than you perhaps did before. You know, and you've got this sympathy coming from Ratty and Badger, agreeing with us, the audience, that Toad is a right cheek. You know.
And to an imagination already strained by my attempts to bring style and refinement to the bucolic.
Now, the only thing with this letter that Toad's written to Mole is, for me, it's written very well. The words he uses, it's almost as if it doesn't sound like the kind of language Toad would use. It almost sounds like a letter written with Badger helping him, or something. Using words like bucolic. I would have thought bucolic would be a word that Toad would know, and Badger obviously refers to it as being rustic. Mole's rustic way of living.
Yes. Well, these are his pieces, and these are his bits.
There's a lot of good comebacks in this episode. You've got one line of one character and the other one comes back with a great comeback.
You're not.
I'm sorry, Rat.
You shall come and stay with me.
Now, of course, Ratty being the hospitable friend that he is, of course, Mole stayed with Ratty a lot before.
Really feel you can't?
And Badger,
Come and stay with me.
But you won't get a picnic on the river then.
Ratty, that would be wonderful.
Just one condition.
Badger obviously offers as well, I guess slightly reluctantly. Not that Badger doesn't want to be a good friend to Mole, but because we know from the book, the original film, all of that history, that Badger, deep down, isn't the most sociable of creatures, but he changes. And he had to change for this series to work, of course. All the characters had to change a little bit. And that's wonderful. When you think back to that film, that's what it does. You know, it develops their characters so much that they go way beyond what they naturally would do as animals. You know, Badger's hibernate in the winter and so on, but of course, Badger's out and about in the winter in the series. And that final scene there, I like how Toad back to his things. It just closes the episode. So overall, I do like that one. I don't. Yeah, in all honesty, it's not the best, most interesting script, but I think Barry works really well with it and got some beautiful visuals there. Really well directed. I love the shots looking up and down in Mole's roof, and they're dealing with the bust coming into his living room. Yeah, just it's got a lovely look. But like I say, a lot of good one-liners in it, and I love those one-liners with the comebacks. So I don't absolutely love that episode, but I don't hate it either. It's just kind of an average one for me, slightly above average. But I'd love to know what everyone else thinks. Barry, again, if you're watching, please do let us know what your memories are of this one. Doesn't hold that much kind of nostalgic value, not as much as other episodes, just because I saw it a lot later. But it is a good one. I do like it. So there we go, another one done and dusted. Next week it is A Producer's Lot, another one directed by Barry. Pretty apt for me personally, because I've literally just been on stage in a Gilbert and Sullivan production, The Gondoliers. I've just performed as Don Alhambra in the Christchurch Gilbert and Sullivan Society's production. And it was great fun, really good fun. And The Producer's Lot focuses on another Gilbert and Sullivan operetta, The Pirates of Penzance, which I was in 3 years ago. So yeah, it's quite funny that it's kind of at the same time, well, almost. So yeah, look forward to that. I do love A Producer's Lot. It's one of my favourites, definitely one of my favourites of Barry's episodes, because I know Barry adores Gilbert and Sullivan, and perfect one for him to direct. I think he suggested it to Brian Truman to come up with the script around it. But anyway, we'll talk about that when we get to it in a week's time. It's also a bonus episode next week as well, so do look out for that as well. Piano Roll Toad, my absolute favourite from Series 5. So thanks very much for watching, as always. Please do keep the comments coming. I will get around to replying, but yes, I've said before, I've just got a lot going on at the moment, but I'm managing to do these just about, I'm sticking with it every week, so I'm determined not to miss one. So thanks very much, everyone, and I shall see you next week for A Producer's Lot. All the best, and see you then.